Good afternoon, participants. I welcome you all in this session on Deliver Omni-Channel Customer Experiences in Banking with AI-Driven Campaigns. I would like to thank you all for sparing time for this session. Leading banking CMOs are focused on delivering a consistent brand experience for customers using personalization and contextual engagement. Changing customer expectations, regulatory mandates, and disruptive technologies are compelling banks to offer enhanced, relevant customer experiences, be it on mobile, at the branch, or at the ATM. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can help break silos and optimize customer experiences. By providing actionable, real-time customer insights and an intuitive engagement engine, IBM Watson Campaign Automation on Cloud enables banks to create exceptional customer experiences across their entire brand journey. To throw more light on the subject, we have with us today Ms. Jody Sangster, CMO Liaison Lead for IBM Watson Customer Engagement. Jody is a leading data-driven marketing specialist and qualified lawyer, specializing in privacy and data protection, and her extensive experience spans over 20 years, including roles in the US, Europe, and the Asia Pacific region. Jody chairs the Global Alliance of Data-Driven Marketing Associations, a consortium of 27 data-driven marketing associations around the world, with a mandate to advance and champion responsible global marketing and advertising. She is also a non-executive director on the board of Amisim, Australia's fourth largest telco. So without any more delay, I would like to invite Ms. Jody to please give a presentation. Over to you, Jody.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be here on the webinar today, talking to you about omni-channel customer experiences. As has already been mentioned, my name is Jody Sangster. I am the CMO Liaison Lead here at IBM Watson, and looking forward to sharing with you today some thoughts about artificial intelligence and how it can be used to really enhance and make better our customer experiences. Before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the new frontier in financial services and banking, and some of the trends that we're seeing out there that really that we need to take notice of and make sure that as we are looking at our technology and AI plans for the future, that we're taking these things into account. So the first thing is that we are seeing disruption everywhere, and I'm sure for everybody who is listening in today, this is nothing new. We're all in the world of financial services, and we all live and breathe this every day. The first thing is that we are seeing the kind of digital revolution in banking. So customers are increasingly comfortable with doing their banking online. So whether that's on their computer, on their mobile phone, through apps, whatever that may be, the consumer now is 100% digital and feeling very comfortable with that. And as organizations, we need to respond to that and making sure that we are offering those channels to our customers. The second trend that we are seeing is the flood of data from so many sources. And that really is, I mean, you're seeing in the world of banking, it is coming from all different directions, all of this data, which can provide huge insights, but can sometimes be quite hard to get your arms around and actually gain insights from. And it does mean that banks have to improve their infrastructures, their systems, and their analytics to actually get the value from their data. And if you think about it, even a kind of a medium-sized bank can deal with 74 billion credit card transactions. That is a huge amount of information, which is hugely valuable, but how do we get the insight from it? The third trend we're seeing is this idea of new ways of making banking deposits, of lending, of payments, of funding systems. So whether that's peer-to-peer payments and lending, crowdfunding, blockchain, and other new developments, these are all threatening the traditional banking business model. So now it's not a case of, you know, if we change, it has to be when we change to respond to this. And those threats are also coming from adjacent industries. So Amazon, Facebook, Alibaba, Apple have all emerged with kind of payment systems that really change the traditional banking model. So through all of this, we now have to look at new ways to compete and use technology in clever ways in order to be able to do that. So let's look quickly at a couple of the challenges. So, and when I say challenges, I think we really need to be clear here. For every challenge, there is an opportunity. So we do need to be mindful of that. And when we're looking at these challenges that present us, we also need to be thinking, well, what are the opportunities there for us as well? So first of all, our customers are demanding more from us. They're savvy, they're astute, they are on mobile, they're on social, and they are expecting us now to deliver a customized, personalized customer experience to them at a low price point. The second thing is we've got disruption, which we've kind of talked about already, which is this idea of non-traditional competition coming in and changing or really kind of pushing the traditional banking model to a new level. We've got complexity and cost, and this is something we will talk about today because there is complexity in banking operations and the technology architectures, because often you have legacy systems in place and you have a huge ecosystem of platforms from different vendors and partners that you're trying to kind of make work together to deliver this better customer experience, and that's not always easy to do. And we do also need to take into account risk and compliance, i.e. the new regulatory framework that is out there, but also security and fraud, which is so important to get right. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that we now have to be extremely customer focused as an enterprise and make sure that we are using analytics and our cognitive capabilities to deliver on that customer experience. And that's really what I'm going to focus on today. But we also have to be agile and drive operational efficiencies and look at how we can optimize risk and compliance and make sure that we meet our responsibilities in regard to each of those. So I'm going to start with customer experience and talk about that a little bit more in a little bit more detail. And the reason for that is because probably at the heart of all of this, when we were trying to use this data, what we're trying to do is deliver a better customer experience so that we can compete on a level playing field with our competitors. And it is important to note at this stage that there is a huge investment being made in customer experience, and particularly in the Asia Pacific region. So we did research around the world to say, well, who is spending what money, what are they spending it on, and what's the reason for it? So Asia Pacific was spending the most amount of money in new technologies to drive better customer experience, and the reason for that was to drive a competitive advantage. So this really is a big area for many businesses in our region today. But the expectations are high, and when we talk about customer experience and what those expectations are, they're really high. And that's not just because of banking, it's because these expectations are in other sectors as well. So if you think about it as a consumer now can virtually design their next car, have it delivered and paid and insure it whilst on a weekend getaway. So that really is setting the bar very high. A consumer can take delivery of groceries from farm to table and track the source that it came from and the route it took and pay for it automatically. Again, completely changing the whole customer experience. And in the wealth sector, as consumers now, we have access to on customer experience. At the moment, we are lagging behind the rest of the world in actually meeting those customer expectations. So again, this is not bad news. This is actually good news, because it means for everyone listening today, we've got an opportunity to do better and an opportunity to stand out from the competition. But let's have a quick look at what that gap is and what's happening here. So in the banking world, 89% of organizations feel satisfied of their ability to resolve their conflicts or issues with consumers. And yet, from a consumer's point of view, only 23% felt that the bank had performed and met their expectations. So we've got this divide, and we've got to understand why we've got that divide. And what I'm going to go into today is three kind of examples of why we have this disparity between what the business thinks and what the consumer is thinking. And better still, how we can resolve some of those gaps. So let's have a quick look at the Marketers Challenge. And I'm not going to spend too long on this because each of you today are marketers and you do understand the challenges that you face. But I wanted to kind of put it in context in one small kind of slide so that you can see what is happening here in terms of what you as marketers are dealing with. And whether that you're a chief customer officer, a CMO, or a chief digital officer, many of the challenges are the same. So you've got internal challenges, and those internal challenges are that you need the skills and resource to be able to now deliver on what the customer is expecting from you. So the customer expects more, but have you actually got the number of people in the team to deliver that? And the answer may be yes, but generally the answer is no. You need to improve your knowledge of the business. You need access to data at your fingertips. It can't be a month's time or a week's time until you get a report telling you what's happening with your business. It needs to be now, and it needs to be real time. You need to drive your budget to deliver more. And I'm seeing this a lot in the CMOs that I talk to, that the budgets that CMOs now have to deliver an awful lot more. And there is much more scrutiny on the return on investment. But how do you actually do that and make sure you're getting the most from your marketing budget? You need to produce results more quickly. And as we know, the average tenure of a CMO now is a lot shorter. It's 2 years, which means that the time frame within which to produce results needs to be much shorter. And we need to become essential to the business. So marketing needs to be sitting there at the board table, having that discussion and being essential to the business. And a couple of the external things that we're trying to achieve. We need to make analytics more accessible. We need to improve our content strategy so that the customers are actually getting content that's relevant to them, not content that's done on a batch and blast basis. We need to achieve true personalization. So the experience that I am receiving as a customer is different from the customer who's next to me. We definitely need to improve our net promoter scores, and we need to deliver seamless customer experience. And the reason that I have Watson in the middle there is that AI actually plays a role in delivering to each of these different challenges that we have as marketers in different ways. And I can't cover it all today because we have only a limited amount of time. But if any of those kind of stick out to you and you say, actually, that's the one thing that I'm trying to do, please be assured that AI can provide a resolution to it, and we can chat further about what those resolutions are. And the goal, so the goal that we're trying to achieve, and this is not just in financial services, this is in every industry that has this focus on customer experience. What is the goal that we're trying to achieve? And this to me kind of sums it up, and it both presents the goal that we're trying to achieve, but also why this is so difficult for us. So each one of the dots here is a different touch point with a consumer. And what we're trying to do is to have a consistent and valuable experience across every single one of those touch points. Now, the challenge with this is that if you see the different colors on here, it means it's a different part of the customer journey. So you've got pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase, and often that they are delivered by different teams within an organization, and certainly within a banking or financial services environment. So already you've got silos within a business delivering different parts of the customer journey, making it very difficult to be consistent. And if you overlay onto that within the financial services world, that you often have different brands. So you've got this multiplied by the number of brands that you have within your organization. So you can see now how fragmented it is and how difficult it can be to actually get consistency across that whole journey there. Now, the next video that I'm going to play you, and I hope that it does play correctly, is a video that was played to me around 6 months ago. And it really kind of encapsulated for me what it is that we are trying to achieve as brands, and where sometimes it goes wrong.
Customer data, you got it, tons of it, and you know your customer. Take Jack, for example. Jack loves waffles. How do you know? Because Sunday Jack said so on social. And last Friday, he'd been searching for a waffle maker in your online store. Boom! Now you're ready to talk to him because you know Jack. Except Jack was actually just carving up for a 5K at the end of the week. He's not so much a waffle freak as a fitness freak, but you already assigned him to a target audience, so you're still talking to him about all things waffle. Jack deletes the email without opening it, and then he ignores your SMS and closes your ad. So you don't know Jack. And to give Jack an experience that would have actually been right for him, you should have had a platform that let your data show that he's not obsessed with brunch, he's obsessed with running. And you also would have known that Jack is actually Jacqueline. If your marketing can't make sense of your data, you don't know Jack.
So I hope you enjoyed that, and it's also kind of outlined to you what we're trying to achieve and some of the challenges we have. So why is this so hard? Look, when we're talking about omni-channel customer experiences, we're trying to have consistency across all those channels, that were those dots that you saw on the previous slide. You're trying to make that experience seamless, i.e. everywhere that that customer goes, it's both consistent and you're delivering on what the customer has come to you for. Thirdly, we're trying to deliver personalization at scale. So personalization down to a denominator of 1. So Jodie has got a different experience from the next customer. And we're trying to do that with a skill set that's not quite ready for the challenge. Luckily, AI will help us with this. So AI will help us in terms of volume of data and getting the insights from that. It will certainly help us with efficiency and getting to that data much more quickly and being able to utilize that data much more quickly. It'll help us with automation because we will be able to automate many of the activities that we're currently doing, so we don't have to rely so much on manual processes. And it will augment the intelligence or the output of the marketing team, because if you put man and machine together, it's almost as 1 + 1 = 3. And that's what we're going to quickly talk about today. So how can AI help? And just before we jump into this, I'm going to quickly explain what is AI. And I'm sorry if you already know this, but for those that don't, it's probably worth a brief explanation. So AI, or artificial intelligence, is just a new way of computers learning. So the way that it was explained to me that made sense was previously we programmed computers to come up with an answer. So we said, if this happens, deliver that. And so we gave the computer the answer, and then every time that activity happened, the computer would deliver up that answer. With cognitive or artificial intelligence, we don't teach the computer the answer, we teach the computer how to come up with the answer itself. So you're actually programming a computer to learn. And the reason this is so important is when you're teaching a computer the outcome or the answer, there's only a finite number of answers you can give it. We as humans can't come up with all the answers ourselves. So when you have AI and the computer can learn itself, it becomes infinitely, it's got so many more answers that it can deliver up that we as humans may not have thought of. So artificial intelligence can understand and learn as humans do. It can reason to extract ideas, and it can understand context. It can learn from past results, and this is a really important one. So every time that the computer does something and it gets an outcome, and you tell the computer it's either wrong or right, it will learn that for the next time it has that same experience, and it can interact in a natural way using natural language processing, which we'll come on to a bit later. So a good example of this would be a project that IBM did in the past, which was to identify skin cancer. And doing this, we fed the machine all sorts of images, some of which were cancer images and some which weren't. And through that, the machine got to learn, if I see this, this is non-cancerous. If I see this, it is. And over this period of learning time, it became so clever in terms of learning and understanding and identifying what was a dangerous cancer and what wasn't, that it could become much more intelligent than a machine in doing so. And that's just one of the amazing uses of AI. Now we're going to go to our first poll because I'd really like to have an understanding of who is actually using artificial intelligence in their business today. So we're going to do a quick poll and we can see the results there. So if you can just answer the poll. So is your company currently using AI to assist you with marketing? Either yes, no, but we're exploring the possibilities, or no, it's not in the plans at the moment. So I'll just give you a moment to cast your vote. Okay. So, it'd be good if we can, Yash, are you there with the results for the poll?
Well, 62%. Yeah, Jody, I have the results with me. So 62% people say that no, but we are currently exploring using AI. 15% say yes, and 24% say no. It's not in the plans at the moment.
Great, thank you for that. So that's wonderful, actually. That's very encouraging. I mean, if 62% are actually looking at AI as potential solutions to marketing, marketing, this is a really good step forward. So, what are we going to get onto now? So I'm going to give you 3 examples of how artificial intelligence is being used in marketing. And I must stress here that it is only 3 examples. There are probably about 20 examples that I could give you, but we're going to talk about 3 today, just to give you an idea of some of the ways that it can be used. And obviously we will have a much more detailed discussion at a later stage around some of the other ways that AI can be used. So 3 principles of customer experience. And when we're talking about omni-channel customer experience, these are the kind of 3 principles I've pulled out. The first one is we're trying to be consistent across all channels at all times. So it doesn't matter whether the consumer goes onto an app, onto a website, on mobile, they are always getting consistency from you. The second is to be seamless. So the customer is coming to you for a reason. Now, whether that's to apply for a home loan, to open bank account, to check their balance, they are coming to you for a specific reason. And our job is to make sure that we deliver on that reason and get them from A to B as quickly as possible. And the third one is relevance. So when we are talking to our customers, we need to be relevant to them. It's not about us pushing the message that we want to push to them. It is about us making sure that we are giving them the information that they need, want, and value. So, principle 1, consistency. How are we going to achieve it? Many organisations, and particularly in financial services, spend a lot of time producing content and delivering on content marketing strategies, and that's an absolutely right thing to do. And content delivers in kind of 3 key areas. So content is used to help customers discover and learn and choose the products or services that they want from you. And you may be using content on your websites, in personalized offers that are going out, in email, in digital marketing and display ads, and in various other different ways. Secondly, you will be using content to help consumers select and buy. So whether that's ratings and reviews or product specifications or other ways, that the content in this context is used to allow the consumer to make their choice of product. And you'll also be using content in helping people get set up and get support. So how-to guides and onboarding and FAQs and educational content, all those reasons. So content plays a role at every single touch point that the consumer has and every time that they come to you. This is what it often looks like when we're delivering up content at the moment. So we're trying to deliver different content through our apps, through our social media, through emails, through landing pages, online stores, etc., etc. So every single touch point has different technology sitting behind it that is delivering up different forms of content. And this really doesn't help when we're trying to have consistency around a customer experience. So what do? The first thing we do is how we put this together and architect it is really, really important. And this is what we call now, the new term is headless content. And what this means is that you keep all of the content in a repository, which I'm sure many of you have, and that content can then feed out into any of the channels that you may have where the customer, that you have a customer touch point. So why this is important is twofold. One is because you have all of the content in a central repository, what is being fed out will be consistent to the consumer. And the second thing is that you can use artificial intelligence in order to personalize the content that is being put forward to the consumer. And I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. And just to cover off why this is called headless content marketing, it's because the head, i.e. the channel that the content is being delivered to, it doesn't matter what that channel is. It can be any channel at all. If you're using this kind of central repository, it means it will always be consistent through whatever channel it goes to. So how does artificial intelligence help all of this? Artificial intelligence helps because it helps in consistency and scale, and I'll show you the reason why. Cognitive content is where you can now tag your content in a cognitive way using artificial intelligence. So as we said before, where the machine can learn the content that it's receiving, so whether it's an image that it's received or whether it's text or a video, it can actually learn what that content is and tag that content for you. And this currently is a big problem in marketing because content tagging often sits with the more junior members of staff and it can sit across a number of different people. So it's not tagged consistently. It's not tagged to any sort of depth. And also different people see different things in images and text and content that they are going to put on as a tag. And therefore, you're not getting the right content served up to your consumers because it's not being tagged up correctly. Cognitive content is where Watson or artificial intelligence can tag the content for you. So here's an example. I put in an image of myself to see what would come up through Watson and through the technology and what type of tagging it came up with. So as you'll see from here, it has tagged the content and has come up with various different things for me. It has come up, it feels that I look like a news reader. It's picked up that I'm a person, a woman, I'm wearing purple, I've got reddish orange colour hair, I'm female. It has got me a little bit young at 23 to 26, but it has tagged up that content to quite a reasonable amount of depth. The good thing about this is that even if some of the tags are not 100% correct, so perhaps my age is not correct and I'm not a newsreader, you can correct that and next time that the AI sees an image of a similar nature, it will have a different set of tags attached to it. It will have the right age and the right profession attached to it. So it's constantly learning. And this is really powerful because if you're thinking about the personalization that you're trying to deliver in content marketing, it requires this tagging to be really deep tagging. And the better the tagging is and the more that the artificial intelligence learns, the more personalized the content will be that is served up to your customers through every single one of those channels. And it does mean that when they're coming to your website, they're coming to your phone, you can now use all your analytics to make sure that you are matching the content with the interests of the individual based on their behaviors. And this really does now get to personalized customer experience. So as I've already said, this is what it allows you to do. It will generate and suggest tags. It will categorize all your content consistently and efficiently. It will deliver really relevant content to your customers. It will reduce the need for human monitoring and tuning through automation, and it will allow you to get to personalization at scale, which was one of those objectives that we had for the CMO. And this was done actually, this is AMP, which you'll know is a large insurer over here in Australia. And what this is designed to show you is, it's not just about having a little part of your site that is personalized. You can personalize all sorts of areas of your site so that it is a truly, truly personalized customer experience. Okay, the next principle here is seamlessness. So what do I mean by seamlessness? And I mentioned this before. It's where you're trying to get someone to go from A to B as quickly and easily as possible. And what that means is you really need to understand your customer journey. And as much as we would love the customer journey to be simple, it often isn't simple. So we've got the customer down here, and you can see the pathway that the customer is going on to get to the end point where they are actually purchasing something or becoming an advocate. And it can be quite complex, the pathway that they take. And we're going to do a little poll in a moment around if you as a company understand your customer journeys. So do you really understand where the customer is going and the pathways that they're taking, and which is the most optimal pathway for a consumer to get to A to B? And if you look at this diagram, what it shows is that as much as we would love our customer journeys to be seamless, often they are not. So the customer is going through this process, and some parts of it are really easy, but there are parts where they're not happy and things are not as easy as they should be. But what we need as businesses is absolute visibility over what is working well and what is not. So our second very quick poll is to ask you about your customer journeys and the extent to which you have visibility at the moment over what is good in your customer journeys, and then where there are areas that you're putting hurdles in the way of consumers and things aren't as good as they should be. So you'll see the poll come up in a second. So does your company have visibility over your customer journeys? So yes, we have complete visibility. Yes, but only partial visibility. So we'll use something like a Google Analytics, but we've got partial visibility, or no, not currently. So I'm just going to give you a moment so that you can answer that question. Okay.
Yeah, Jody, I have the results for the poll with me. 12%. 12% of the respondents say yes, we have complete visibility. 41% say yes, but only partial visibility using Google Analytics, and 47% do not have any visibility currently.
Great, and that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing throughout the market in all of the various different sectors. So that sounds about right to me. Thank you. Why this is important? Why is it important that we understand the customer journey and that we get someone from A to B as quickly as possible? It's important because 45% of people give up if the process is too hard. That's almost half of customers. If we're putting a struggle or a hurdle in the way of consumers, they give up and they're going to go somewhere else. Now this, if you just watch the screen here, this is a colleague of mine went on to a well-known insurance site to try and get insurance. And this is an example of a hurdle that will come up. So they've gone on, they're looking for car insurance and they want to get a quote for that. And they are filling out the form, and every single one of us will have a form of some description on our website. He's filled out his age. He's said that he's not currently a member with the insurance company. He doesn't want multiple insurance. He's a male. And it says, what age did you gain your driver's license? And he's put in 16. And it's come up here to say, I'm sorry, but you have to be 18 years of age in order to get insurance with our company. Now, that's clearly a fault on the website, because it's asked him the age that he was when he got his insurance, 16, and telling him he has to be over 18 to get insurance. Now, one of three things is going to happen at this point. Either he's going to give up. He's going to sit in that 45% of people who give up. It's too hard. He'll go away and find insurance somewhere else. The second thing is he'll lie and say, okay, well, I'm 18. And so that he can continue on the process, but he hasn't answered the questions honestly, and that obviously in insurance is a problem. Or the third thing he's going to do is call the call center, which is a cost to the business and a cost that really could have been avoided had they got this right. So how does artificial intelligence help here? It helps in two ways, and I think this is a really smart use of artificial intelligence. The first thing that artificial intelligence now does is maps or predicts the journey path. So it looks at and learns the paths that consumers are taking. You can do this down to a level of 1, but you would do it on an aggregate level. And it looks at the patterns across all of the different customer interactions, across all of the different channels. And it makes recommendations of the pathway that you should be choosing for your customer journey, which allows you then to be putting your marketing dollars in the right place. And it also allows you to make sure that you've got content that is driving that customer journey in the right way. So optimizing that customer journey both delivers a great customer experience, but is saving you time and marketing dollars because you can actually put those dollars where they will go best to work. Better than that, though, I think, is this idea of struggle detection. And what this is artificial intelligence is looking for patterns in how people are using your channels, your website, your apps, etc. And what it does is it starts to deliver up flags for you to say, we've got a lot of people that are spending time in this area. Now, that may be good or bad. Or we can see an awful lot of people that are dropping off in this certain location. So it not only provides you that, but then if you click on that, what we would call an anomaly, it will say to you, it will replay the session for you. So you can see, similar to the example in insurance, that someone is trying to enter the age 16 and getting the error notice, which is saying you have to be 18. So it doesn't just tell you that you have a problem, it specifically tells you what that problem is. And even better than that, it then delivers up 2 or 3 solutions that you can quickly put in place to solve that struggle for the consumer. So struggle detection is being used in a very big way by financial services and insurance to get consumers through processes, particularly forms, in the most seamless way possible. And even better than this is if somebody does then phone the call center agent can give them a small code which they put into the website, and it allows the call center agent to see what's going on the website with the consumer and can solve that consumer's problem for them. So they would be the call center agent would be able to see that person who's trying to fill in the insurance form, they can see where that problem is and walk them through the process. So it really means that the call center agents are also empowered to deliver a much better customer experience. So this is another use of artificial intelligence, looking for patterns and serving up solutions to deliver a better customer experience. And that is kind of what this slide says here. Okay, and there is a case study on this from AMP who used this to improve conversion, increase satisfaction, and reduce churn. So we will share that case study with you after this webinar. The third area I briefly want to cover with you is relevance, and this is an important area. So relevance is making sure that we are delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. And I'm sure that many of you are already using marketing automation to do that. But using marketing automation is one thing, and making sure that you're kind of delivering messages out based on triggers. But you can use all sorts of other things within marketing automation to make this a really personalized experience that is truly relevant to the consumer. So a couple of the things I would point out here that use AI and also deliver an enhanced customer experience. So first of all, there is this idea that you can now have weather triggers within your marketing automation platform. So what does that mean? It means that consumers' behavior will change based on the weather, whether they go out or not, what they're going to do that day, what's interesting them that day. So using weather triggers can mean that you can make a communication out to a consumer both valuable, because you're taking into account what their day is going to be like, and you can make it so it's very timely and relevant to them. And not only that, you can geo fence weather triggers, so you can actually do weather in a specific city. So only people in that city who are going to have that type of weather are going to receive that communication from your company automatically. So that is one new area that is certainly worth looking at in marketing automation. And along with many other things that I'm sure that you're using in your marketing automation systems at the moment. But where is the real AI in this? And I think one of the challenges I hear so often coming from marketers is, I've got my marketing automation platform, and I've set it up in a great way. So I've got the journey mapping, I'm sending the right communications out through the right channels. I've got my lead management and my scoring working really well. But the challenge for me is that I can't get my hands on the data quick enough to make the changes that I need to make to my marketing campaigns so that I can really optimize the campaigns that I'm putting out there. And we have tried to resolve this problem by introducing what we call cognitive assistance, or a marketing assistant indeed. So what this is going to help marketers to do is move from kind of a historical approach to how marketing was done to real-time marketing, and help the marketer have access to the data so that they can do that more quickly. So we're moving from a kind of channel-specific approach to an omni-channel approach. We're moving from outbound promotion to responsive, real-time, both outbound and inbound marketing interactions. We can move from having kind of seasonal-based marketing campaigns to life cycle, behavioural or weather-driven planning, and we can certainly move from batch-driven to responsive marketing that is based on a signal or a customer action, which will then trigger a result. And this is how AMP did it in the case study that we will provide you. You will see how they put all of this together to deliver an exceptional customer experience. So I'm briefly going to talk to you about cognitive assistant or marketing assistant. So the way that artificial intelligence now helps within the marketing automation platform is to put an artificial intelligence marketing assistant that sits alongside your marketer and gives real access to the results of marketing campaigns in real time. And this allows marketers to enhance the campaigns that they're putting together. So it's almost like having an expert sitting alongside your marketers, saving them hours each day by putting the data in front of them. Okay, so the type of thing that you can ask Watson Marketing Assistant, and you can either actually ask Watson Marketing Assistant verbally, so you can ask the assistant a question. You press a button and say, Watson, what customer segments respond better to this type of content? Or Watson, can you give me a list of the 500,000 consumers that have a high propensity for purchasing a webinar? For purchasing a credit card. So you can ask Watson all of these various different questions, and Watson will, within seconds, bring up that for you. So you might actually also say, Watson, can you tell me which was the most effective subject line from the past marketing campaign that we did? And Watson will let you know what that subject line is. So here's a brief video which will just explain to you how this works.
Watson is changing the marketing industry by reimagining assistants to help you work smarter. We did it with Watson Campaign Automation. Spending hours trying to search for correlations like the relationship between sent time and open rate can be overwhelming. With just one question, you can ask Watson to plot those relationships for you in a matter of seconds. Stop spending time searching through folder after folder. Watson understands the context between email titles, subject lines, and email previews. Just ask for what you need. Let Watson help you understand your tone, giving you new or better insights for making your content resonate with your customers. Have you been given an unfamiliar task? Watson lets you choose how you want to learn. Watch a video, take an interactive in-app tour, or read documentation. All of these options are at your fingertips. Watson is making marketers exponentially more effective. Complex, made simple.
So I hope that's provided an overview of how artificial intelligence in 3 ways is helping to make marketing easier, more efficient, and drive better results. And here are some of the stats that you can rely on that prove the outcomes of how AI helps. So in smarter marketing, so being more relevant and personalized, increases customer value and loyalty. It definitely delivers a higher marketing ROI, and it also increases response rates. And on the other side of things, it helps your marketers be more efficient, so they can get to campaigns more efficiently. They can reduce the cycle time to put a marketing campaign into market. They can certainly reduce marketing costs by not wasting time on tasks which can be done by artificial intelligence, and it reduces customer acquisition costs substantially. And this was achieved actually by ING Direct. And if you look at some of the results that they achieved, they could get personalized campaigns into market 50% faster. They increased their outbound call center sales conversions by 120% by having struggle analytics and arming their call center staff with the tools that they need to deliver a better customer experience and faster. So that's all from me today. My details are there, and I genuinely would love you to reach out if you have questions or if you'd like to talk about artificial intelligence in more depth with me. Thank you so much for listening today.
Thank you, Jody, for that amazing presentation. And we'll now open up the webinar for questions from participants. And we have some questions from participants, Jody. The first question is, how easy is it to get started with AI? How do I get started?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that there is a misconception that it's very difficult to get started with AI. And I think perhaps it could be difficult if you're trying to create AI from scratch. yourself, then it could be quite difficult to get started. The way that this works, though, is that we've taken the smarts of Watson and put it into products that are available to companies that they can get their hands on very easily and set up easily and quickly to drive good results. So it's not so much about is it easy or hard to get started with AI. It's relatively easy to get started. But what you do have to have in place is a strategy. So you do need to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, what are the results that you're looking for, and then you can buy AI to deliver on that. So it's the strategic part that needs to happen first, and then from that, you can find the right artificial intelligence product to deliver on that need, and that's the sequence that needs to happen.
Thank you, Jody, for that answer. The next question is, how long will it take to realize ROI on investing so much on these technologies?
Yeah, so it depends on what, so it depends on what. So some of these technologies. So if you look at something like Struggle Analytics, so that was where the insurance company was showing up the error message. And the technology that allows you to identify that as a hurdle that's been put in place for the consumer and give you the resolution of how you solve that for them. So the ROI time on that is actually only around 4 months. So we had a big Forrester report that went to all of the companies using this, and within 4 months, each of those companies had delivered return on investment. So it can be very quick to see the return. And I think that's why it's important to have your strategy in place and know what you're trying to achieve and choose your quick wins so that you can get a quick return on investment, which then allows the business to buy into further investment in technology and AI to improve the customer experience.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. The next question is, can AI be implemented for smaller organizations like the SME sector, the small and medium enterprises, and how much will it cost? Because these organizations are very cost conscious given their low budgets.
That's right.
So yeah.
And I'm kind of glad that question's been asked, even though I probably can't give you an exact value. But the reason I'm pleased that question has been asked is because, again, there is a misconception that AI is expensive, and that's actually not the case. If you were creating AI completely from scratch, yes, it could be expensive, and if it was completely bespoke, it could be expensive. But I think the point of this is that it has been pre-packaged, and it's been done for exactly this reason, so that every company has the opportunity to take advantage and leverage the benefits of AI. So there's kind of two things to look at here. One is the amount that you need to invest in, but the most important is how quickly can you drive the return on investment out of that. And so it can be cost effective to put in, and you can get the return on investment within a matter of months.
Thank you, Jody. The next question is, how will 5G technology impact the customer experience?
That's a very good question. Maybe not one that I am well versed to answer. I think, I mean, any increase in computing power, etc., will obviously enhance the customer experience and make things an awful lot quicker on the customer's end. I think what it means for us, though, is that the customer expectation goes up even higher, because there is a speed aspect to that, that the consumer is expecting things at much kind of a quicker response and higher speed. So as much as I'm probably not technically able to answer that question, I think it's another aspect that lends itself to increasing the expectation, the customer expectation of how we're going to be delivering to them.
Sure. So the next question, Jody, for you is, would the team need to learn a new skill set to use these types of AI tools?
Look, I think marketers generally are needing to use a new need to use a new skill set anyway. So marketing has changed substantially in the last 3 to 5 years, and much of the marketer's skill set, the traditional marketer's skill set, needs to be now updated to be able to deliver on what marketing has become. And AI is only just one of those skill sets that someone will need to learn and understand. So yes, there is a new skill set, but that's not specific to AI. It's actually more relevant to technology-driven marketing, and marketing that is kind of real-time marketing rather than it being campaign-based marketing. So yes, this shift does need to be made. There is actually a very good skills assessment tool that you can use for this with your teams. And please feel free to email me and I can send you details of that. But there is a skills assessment tool that takes someone from being a traditional marketer to a 360 marketer of the future, and what skills do you need. And you can assess your team so that they can see, you know, our team is quite strong here, or even individuals are quite strong here, but these are the new skill sets that they need. So when you're training your teams, you're actually spending your training dollars on areas that are really going to put your team in the best position to be a marketer of the future. And I really do think that that is extremely worthwhile because the skill set is quite different.
Thank you, Jodie. The next question is, how much data do I need to get started? And what is the average timeline for implementing AI?
Yeah, okay. So again, it does depend on what, because as I've said, I've only today kind of covered 3 areas, and there's probably another 10 or 15 that we could talk about. Some artificial intelligence does require a company to have a data set, a clean data set, in order to be able to start using AI. But there are many uses of AI that doesn't need a huge amount of data to get started. So if you look at some of the ones we've talked about today, cognitive tagging of content, it comes pre-loaded with tags and intelligence. So you don't need a huge amount from the company in order to get started with something like cognitive tagging. Struggle analytics, the same. You can implement that, and you don't need the data in order to get started with that. And with marketing automation, yes, you need a little bit more data, but as artificial intelligence learns as it goes along, you need a baseline of data to get started, but it can learn from that, and quite quickly you're getting into some real results. How long does it take? Implementation, probably, it takes a matter of weeks or a couple of months. It doesn't take longer than that. So this is not one of those ones that's going to take years in order to implement. It can be done relatively quickly, and it does learn over time. And one thing I do think is really important is for those, I think it was 61% of companies who say, we're looking at artificial intelligence at the moment. It is important to get started early, because machine learning, or the machine learning, is constantly learning. So if you start now, you're going to always be a step ahead of your competition, because you've had that extra period of time where your AI is learning from you and your business. So you'll always be that step ahead.
Thank you, Jodie. In the interest of time, we would like to take up one final question. And the final question is, I've heard that AI will replace jobs. Is this true?
I think, and I hear this all the time, that artificial intelligence will replace jobs. And I think the answer to this is it will replace some jobs, but it will replace manual tasks that at the moment are extremely time consuming and are probably not delivering to the marketing strategy. So if you think about something like marketing assistant that we talked about at the end there, for a marketer to be able to go and get a report from a campaign that has been run, if you asked a marketer to do that today, it would probably take them, a few hours worth of work to pull all of that data together to be able to present it to the CMO. And using Marketing Assistant, you can ask the question and that report will be done for you in a matter of seconds. And that's the type of time saving that you'll get. What does that mean? That means that the marketer can spend their time on much more important tasks and delivering on much more important strategies for marketing that are actually delivering to the customer experience, rather than on some of these manual tasks such as report writing or tagging, etc., that at the moment take up a lot of time. So yes, certain parts of jobs will be replaced, but my hope is that time will be better spent delivering much better marketing out there to the market.
Thank you, Jody, for addressing all the queries. So participants, that's all we have time for. With this, we bring this webinar to a close. We hope the content was valuable for you and would help you leverage AI better in your enterprise. Thank you very much, Jody, and thank you, participants. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.